Let's add some interest to our journal pages. What I have here is the base for my Autumn Muse junk journal. If you've missed part 1 where I have shared the selection of the papers that I've decided on and how I put them together in signatures, please see the playlist linked below. In this process, I want to share with you how I make a journal beginning to end. This already kind of feels like a journal because of the way the pages are already put together. But as I'm flipping through this, I feel like a lot of these pages are just too plain. There's no real interest on them yet, besides the ones that are digital prints. If you want to know which digitals I used for this journal, please see the kits below. I'm linking the complete kits as well as a set curated especially for this junk journal. So if you wanted to follow along and use the same papers, you can. And then you don't have to get all of the complete kits. You just get exactly the pages that I am using from 5 different kits. Something I haven't done in a long time is to add some fun bubbles to some of my pages. I posted a video about 2 years ago where I share the process in detail with different alternatives, different pigments you can use. And for today, I'm going to use acrylic paints. They work really well with this process. And these 4 colors I chose match really well to the colors that I have on my printables. So I'm going to do 4 colors at the same time. So I'll put some water into each of these bowls. I'm not giving you measurements. It's going to be different every time. You see, I'm not adding too much water. Next, I'll add my paint. I can't give you measurements, but you need probably more paint than you think. That looks really weird now. It will also depend on your brand, how much you need. These are highly pigmented. They're artist quality. So if you have cheaper ones, you might need a little bit more. So then I'm just going to mix this up until all the paint is diluted. It is going to get messy. No way around that for this process. And then I'm going to add a spritz of dishwashing liquid to each of these bowls. Again, you'll have to experiment how much of this you need. Usually 1 pump will do the trick. Again, I'm going to mix this up. This time I'll just use my straw. I have a glass one. You can use plastic or paper as well. So once everything is mixed, let's just take some paper scraps to try the colors before we add them to our journal. Let's start with the orange. Let's move these aside. So you just gently blow into the mixture until it comes up till a little bit over your bowl. I can see that there's not much color on these bubbles here, so let's mix it a little bit more. Yeah, I think this is going to work. We can pop these if we want to see the result faster. Yeah, this is enough pigment for me. So the orange is good to go. Let's try the red. I feel like the first time when the bubbles come up, there's never enough color. So once I have some bubbles here, I just mix it like this to get more pigment into the bubbles and then just blow again. Usually that makes them a lot more visible. Yep, that's gonna be good as well. Oh yeah, that is very highly pigmented. That's perfect. And finally the brown. Yep, that's also fine. So now we can decide for each paper which color bubbles we want, if any. This is the first page of my journal. I think I do want some bubbles on this one. I think especially here, but even on this page, not in her face. Maybe we'll try them here first on this back side. Let's try the brown. And of course, these are going to look different on each paper. So as you remember, we printed these on matte photo paper. So the result is going to be different than on vintage papers, regular copy paper, etc. Okay, this is very light. Okay, let's see what these look like when they dry. Just use my heat tool. Okay, so this is not great for a first try. And we also have to check if it goes through to the back, which it does not. Okay, let's try on the back here, the blue, because we have some of the blue down here. Let's just be brave and do this. I've actually never tried it with this paper. Oh, this I think will be better. Let's be brave and do some more. The fun thing about this process is you never know what it's going to look like. So it's always a fun experiment and it's always going to be unique. Okay, let me dry this. So this looks rather interesting. I think it works for the page because it looks magical. Like there are some strange things floating around in this very fantastical scenery. So I'm okay with that. What I'm really looking for is not these kind of blobs. I'm looking for the detail like we have here and in these. I want to get more of that. I'll be brave and add some of the blue here as well. Let's just go for it. Or maybe we do it on the back first. I'm a chicken. Yeah, these are very subtle. I like that a lot for this page. Let's do some here. Wow, there was a lot of splatters going on here. And it also came here to her face. It's okay, it's not a big deal. This is a lesson in not being precious with your pages and adding a lot of character to them this way. And even though this was not what I was going for, I actually really love it on the page because it adds another color. And I think the color combination with the orange here is beautiful. And we do have some blue here, so it's not totally out of our range of colors. So this next one here is an original vintage paper. No idea how that's going to react. It is very stiff. Let's try the orange. Yeah, these turned out great. I love that. Let's try to get some more here. Let's add some brown on top of this. It is better to let these air dry because otherwise we're just going to get blobs of paint. This I think now looks quite interesting. So let's do the back as well. I'll start with the brown again. This one came out quite well. Let's add some blue. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that one is good to go. I'll let this one air dry. So I'm deciding for each page individually what color I want to add depending on what pages are before and after it and what color the page has. Ooh, that one came out really well. So this is what it looks like once it's dry, and on the back side I added some orange. So obviously this is going to take a while. I will keep going using the same method, and I'll show you the pages once I have them all done. So I have all of my pages done. I've cleaned up the huge mess I had here. I even had splatters in my face. You don't have to throw away the paints when you're done. You can just keep them in jars and then use them whenever you want to. They keep for many, many months. And I also kept these 2 kitchen towels, which I used to wipe off my straw. And maybe we can do something with these, maybe use them in clusters or something once they are dried. So let me share a flip through of what these pages look like now, so you can see how they look all together in the journal. I love the pop of color that they add. I love the added interest that they add. This is now super unique. Nobody else, even if you do the exact same thing I did, is going to have the same look that I have. So this is really a super fun way to make your journal very unique. I love the variation of the color of the bubbles. I tried my very, very hardest not to add them to every single page, which was super difficult. It is very addictive. You will understand once you start, because also you're thinking like, okay, I'm already in the mess, so let's just keep going. Yeah, it is really, really hard to stop. I just love all these subtle, sometimes not so subtle accents. Some of the pages I deliberately left completely plain or white, because I also think that's a beautiful contrast, because this page now really pops. I don't know yet what I will be adding to that. I feel like all of the vintage papers worked really well with this technique. All the papers took bubbles really, really well. And they just look like floating bubbles, don't they? They so work with all of these magical papers. Also, the piano paper here worked well. Here, of course, some of the ink smeared a little bit, but I knew that was going to happen. That's okay. Here I added the brown and the orange. Love, love, love this combination. This was the one where the bubbles were printed on the pages, and then I added the red on top. Also love that combination. Here's another page that I left completely neutral. Love it along here, the edges and here. And the bubbles were the perfect addition to this particular journal, because we have so many round elements in this Autumn Muse digital. This was a huge challenge not to add anything there. This one here came out very interesting. You see all these red splatters from her face. So I don't know what's going on here. What happened to this poor girl? I really don't know. Also with the birds here in the background and the red splatters, something spooky has been going on there. Look how well the red fits together with the mushroom red. On this one again, the brown bubbles were the ones printed from the printable, and the red, or actually this is the orange, which looks very red here, are the bubbles that I've added. So fun to combine the colors. I love this one because in the digital her face is already blue like this, and then just adding some more turquoise I think really worked well. This one I've actually left. This was the only one of these that I didn't add any bubbles to in the middle. Super difficult. I just love this combination, the turquoise and the orange together. Yeah, I think we can say it's on about 90% of the pages. So my next step will be to add some stamping to some of the pages. I will only be stamping in black to make everything cohesive. And I have chosen a few stamps that I intend on using. I'm only choosing stamps that, and this might sound weird, have nothing to do with my theme because I want to create unique pages and maybe something a little more unexpected. So I have some here that I cannot link for you because I've had these forever. I think these are no-name ones, so I intend on using some of these here. These I know are Finnabair, and I intend on using these grungy numbers. Maybe also the postcard. Here again we have some more tickets, and I might use either of these two. Again, I'm sorry, I don't have information on these. I'm unsure if I want to use some of these leaves. These are Tim Holtz and they're called pressed foliage because that would be a theme, but I might make this exception actually. Maybe partial stamps. I don't know yet. I'll have to see as I go along. These are from the Tim Holtz ticket booth set. And finally, these, oops. Finally, these are from the Tim Holtz field notes. And I think I'll mostly be using the numbers here. So I'll just go through these and start stamping away. So I have finished all my stamping on all the pages. I will show you a flip through at the end because there's one more thing I want to add. Also, I used 3 more stamp sets because I didn't feel like I had enough variety with the sets that I chose. So this one of my favorites, Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz, with the name Paint by Number CMS 483. You can find this one linked below, as well as this one with the name Faded Type CMS 397. And lastly, this one with the name Note Quotes CMS 463. But from these, I only used these 4, which are super fun. You'll see those on the pages. Like this, maybe you can't imagine what you could use them for, but they are so much fun to use. I also want to add some floral die cuts to my pages. And for that, I want to prepare some papers. I have 2 pieces of cardstock here. I think these are around 160 GSM. And I want to use these same colors that we used before when we made the bubbles. And I'm going to use these plastic pipettes. You can find these in art stores or online, I'm sure. I'm going to use 1 per color. I've never done this before, so let's see what this will look like. Basically, I'm just trying to make an interesting background out of which I can then cut the die cuts. If you don't have pipettes, you can also just use a paintbrush or you can just splatter. I don't know what this will look like. I'm thinking, should I add some water maybe first? Let's add some water. Oh, I'm so unsure about this. Oh, let's add some water. Just mist it. And then, ooh. It's going to get messy again. Wow. That looks really cool. I'm wondering if I should dry it in between, because now if I add the blue, it's going to turn purple. I could add a little bit of brown, but the blue is not a good idea, I think. Okay, let me dry this first. It's gonna take forever to dry. So this is pretty dry now. And in theory, because this is acrylic paint, when I mist this again, it should not move and it should not mix with the blue. I know this looks super weird, bear with me. Hopefully this is just the ugly stage of something very interesting. So this time I didn't wet it. I'm adding some more color. Again, I'm going to dry this. First, let's move it just a little bit. So I'm just layering some of the paint here. So once this is dry, I'm going to add some Distress Spritz spiced marmalade. Just adds a little bit of magic. Okay, and while that dries, so that has some shimmer on it now, let's take our second paper. And this time I'm just going to take a big paintbrush and see what happens if I spread the colors on my paper that way. Ooh. Wow. That looks amazing. Love that. So I dried that mostly, not completely. Let's take a smaller brush. I don't know what I'm doing. Let's just go this way. If you're thinking, Barbara, what on earth are you doing? Then we're thinking the same thing. Let's take some orange. This is one of the weirdest things I've ever made. Then let's add some collage paper on top here. You could also add napkins, but I want to try this one because I've actually never used this. This is collage paper photographic with the number TH94319. Has a completely different theme, which I think is great because it will add more interest. I just don't know how transparent this is going to become. Hopefully very transparent. Otherwise, it might look very strange. So I'm going to use my Liquitex matte gel for this, and I'm going to apply it with this scraper. Obviously, you can also use a paintbrush or a foam brush. Oh, this is drying super fast. So I'll add it on top as well. A brush might actually be better because I didn't get the matte gel everywhere. So I have some air pockets in here, which is not good. Okay, and I'll just add another strip down here. So then we have this, and I actually think it looks really cool because we do see the colors in the background, which of course was only possible because they were acrylic paints. If these would have been distress inks or oxides, they would have smeared now as soon as I added my matte medium. And I want to take this one step further. You could leave it as is, but I want to add even some more contrast and interest by wildly sewing around this with my sewing machine. So this is what we have now. It looks absolutely crazy, but very fun. You can see the sewing better here on the back side. And finally, I'm going to spray some Uncharted Mariner Distress Spritz on this one for some more magic. So then we have this with beautiful blue shimmer. And I just realized I'm not even sure if the thin knits will cut through the thread. We will see. If it doesn't work, we'll figure something else out to do with this. So I rolled this dye through my machine 4 times just to make sure. Let's see. I am so curious. I really have no idea. Oh, nope. Oh no. This is something I did not think about. There's probably a reason why nobody else does this. Oh dear, look. It just does not want to come off. But maybe we can just snip those off, because I do think... Oh, but look, it did go through this one. Oh, and here as well. Ha! So not all is lost. So, okay, I'll just snip through those threads that weren't cut. Wow, this requires quite some patience. We'll see if it's worth the effort in the end. Okay, so this is actually torn into 3 pieces. I think I can glue it together if I glue it down onto a page. I do love the way it looks. I don't know if it's worth it with the stitching because, yeah, I don't know if it's visible enough that it's worth the effort. I think I would rather do something else with these. I'll figure that out. And let's just do some plants with this crazy one here. So these came out super cute. So this one here is the same one that we tried with the stitching. And it's from this die set by Sizzix and Olivia Rogue, I think it says. The number is 666256. It's this one right here. And these 4 are from this set, Tim Holtz and Sizzix, with the number 661206. And the name is Garden Greens. And I'm absolutely obsessed with these leaves, the colors, the shimmer. Oh my goodness, these are so fun. And these are from the die set Sizzix and Tim Holtz with the number 665559. And these are called leaf fragments. Whatever I can, I will link for you below. Oh my goodness, these are so beautiful and they're going to fit so well into our journal because the colors, obviously because we used the same colors, for example, this and this is the same. This is going to be perfect. Imagine this on this page, maybe something else underneath. Wow, that's going to be gorgeous. But that is for another video. I hope you join me again for part 3. Who knows what's going to happen there? Love you guys. Mwah! Mwah!